I think most of us are now seated in the room, and I hope those of you viewing virtually have tuned in. I'm Leslie Hindersall. I am the current president of the Indiana State Bar Association. I'd ask for your attention now. For those of you at home, maybe you let your children know that they can jump out of the room, or maybe it's your pets or whatever, or whoever it may be. And those of you in person, if you would find your seats. I'd like to welcome the members and the guests to our 124th annual meeting and this 2020 assembly. Introducing at my right, maybe it's Todd now who's getting his makeup on. No one gave me a makeup treatment before this all started. I just want you to know that. But to my right is Todd Spurgeon, chair of the nominations committee and past president. And to my left is Michael Tolbert, your president-elect. I'd like to invite Ms. Patty McKinnon of Indianapolis to the lower podium, please, to lead the invocation.
I promise not to touch the mic. If there is one thing we can all agree on right now, it is that we are all afraid. We are afraid of each other. We are afraid for our country. We are afraid for our own future. Yet we must keep in mind that we are not the first to feel this kind of fear. In 1964, Nelson Mandela was imprisoned at Robben Island in South Africa. His cell measured only 8 by 7 feet. He slept on a straw mat on the ground. Verbally and physically harassed by several white prison wardens, he spent his days breaking rocks into gravel. He was allowed, at the beginning, as the lowest class prisoner, Class D, 1 letter every 6 months and 1 visitor every 6 months. He suffered permanent eye damage from the reflection of the sun off the limestone in the quarry where he worked. He was not, as a Black prisoner, allowed to wear sunglasses. He also contracted tuberculosis, which almost certainly was exacerbated by the damp conditions in his cell. Yet, he never gave in to his fear. He never lost hope. Think of the hope that he had. I will not be killed while I am in this prison. I will be released before I die. And when I am released, I will be allowed to vote for the very first time in my life, along with my compatriots. And when I vote and my compatriots vote, I will be elected as the first Black president of my country. And on May 10th, 1994, 30 years later, that is exactly what happened. President Mandela never gave in to his fear, his anger, or his hatred that he must have felt during those 30 years. Instead, he offered hope. He offered reconciliation. He offered forgiveness. Buddha once said, "Your forgiveness should be such that the person who is forgiven does not even know you are forgiving them." This is true compassion. He also said, "Hatred never ceases by hatred, but by love alone is healed." Without forgiveness, we are chained to the past. Forgiveness is not weak. It demands courage and integrity, yet only forgiveness can bring the peace that we all long for. In our own country, Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall urged his fellow citizens to dissent from fear and hatred, stating, "I wish I could say that racism and prejudice were only distant memories. Yet we must dissent now from our indifference. We must dissent from apathy. We must dissent from fear, hatred, and mistrust. We must dissent because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better." In the words of our own Chief Justice, Loretta Rush, this morning, we must do better. Will you pray with me? Lord, help us to do better. Help us to put aside our fears of each other, our fears for our country, our fears for our own future. Remind us of the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Help us as paralegals, as staff, as attorneys, and as judges to be that light, to show love to others, to offer forgiveness, to practice reconciliation. Help us to hold on to our hope in you in the darkness, the hope of a baby born in a stable, sleeping in a manger. As it says in Psalm 25, no one who hopes in you will ever be put to shame. Help our incoming president, Michael Tolbert, his officers, the board, and the ISBA staff to feel your light in the coming year. In the words of Justice David this morning, as difficult as these circumstances are, we have each other. We have this organization. When we worry that we can no longer see the light, remind us of these words from Dr. Martin Luther King, that only in darkness can you see the stars. Help us to see the stars. Help us to reach for the light. Help us to dissent from fear, hatred, and mistrust. Help us to practice reconciliation. Remind us that only forgiveness can give us the peace we all long for. In your name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Patty, for that moving invocation. I now declare the association meeting in session. First, we have a small piece of business from last year to address. Our House of Delegates passed updated articles of incorporation during the 2019 annual meeting. This was part of a multi-year process by our Articles and Bylaws Committee to update our governing documents. This assembly must now ratify that decision. The proposal has been shared with membership in advance of this meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the Articles of Incorporation? There having been a motion and a second, is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. If you are in person, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those attending virtually, please respond to the poll that you should now be seeing on your screen. And I have to check with my staffers. It looks like we have 100% agreement on that. At this time, I'd like to invite past president and nominations committee chair Todd Spurgeon to read the report of the nominating committee.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Again, my name is Todd Spurgeon from New Albany, and this year I was privileged to chair the nominating committee of the Indiana State Bar Association. Our committee was comprised of Ted Wagner of Rochester, Robert Jones Jr. of Notre Dame, Eric Chickadance, past president from Fort Wayne, Sean Trey Irving of Hammond, Jacob Talman of Rensselaer, Julia Kazicki of Carmel, Tanya Bond of Indianapolis, Rhea Jones Price of Vincennes, Tom Lett of Tipton, Judge Tom Lett of Tipton, and Laura Stephen Ryan of Noblesville. We met on July 28th via Zoom for a very spirited meeting. After that meeting, the nominating committee nominated for the Board of Governors, and District 2, Zachary Leitner of Auburn, District 3, Magistrate Crystal Briscoe of Mishawaka, District 6, Nathan Smith of Noblesville, District 7, Emily Storm Smith of Indianapolis, District 8, Laura K. Boren of Evansville, District 9, Charles G. Jeff Pfeiffer of Jeffersonville, District 11, John Larimore of Indianapolis, and at-large Freedom Smith of Indianapolis. In addition, the nominating committee is nominating Amy Noe Dudas of Richmond to serve as our next vice president. Do I have a motion to approve?
The motion to approve has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. If you are in person, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those attending virtually, please respond to the poll that should now be on your screen. And I have an indication that there is approval unanimously. I would like to introduce the new vice president, Amy Noe Dudas from Richmond. Congratulations, Amy. I first met Amy at an ISBA function many years ago and have known her to be a skilled practitioner and leader dedicated to her community and the Indiana State Bar Association. She has been so dedicated for her entire career. She steps into the role of vice president here after just completing her tenure at the Indiana Bar Foundation, where she served as president. I know we will be in excellent hands. Thank you and congratulations, Amy. I would like to introduce our new board member. Board members, if they are here, I would ask them to stand. And otherwise, I will just state their names so that the members who are viewing can become more familiar. Zachary Leitner, Auburn, 2nd District. Magistrate Crystal Briscoe, Mishawaka, 3rd District. Nathan, known as Scott, Smith, Noblesville, 6th District. Emily Storm Smith, Indianapolis, 7th District. Laura, known as Katie Boren, Evansville, 8th District. Greg Pfeiffer, Jeffersonville, 9th District. John Larimore, Indianapolis, 11th District. Freedom Smith, Indianapolis, 11th District. The Honorable Holly Harvey from Bloomington, Chair-elect for our House of Delegates. And Sarah McClammer, Indianapolis, Chair-elect for the Young Lawyers. Congratulations to each of you. I look forward to being part of the great things ISBA will do in the future and under your leadership. I will now ask the past presidents who are joining us to stand and be recognized if they are in attendance when I call their names. If you are attending virtually, feel free to stand wherever you may be and be recognized by whoever you may be sitting nearby or whoever you may have sitting nearby. First, I am honored to introduce my partner, Doug Church. As you may have seen earlier, he has been selected as the 2020 Indiana Bar Foundation Legendary Lawyer. So a special congratulations to Doug. And the many other wonderful presidents that have given so much to the organization and continue to give. Carol Ad Namus, Andy Metzel, Dan Vinovich, Spence Walton, Bill Jonas, Todd Spurgeon, Jeff Lind. Are there any other presidents of the association who we have missed? I'm not seeing any suggestions that we've omitted anyone in the room. Are there any online? It looks like we've covered all of the presidents who are attending or are viewing. I would like you to join me in a round of applause for our past presidents and thank them for their service. As these past presidents know, the work of the ISBA is not accomplished simply because of one president. I'd like to take a few minutes to present a special thanks to Chief Justice Rush for keeping the Indiana State Bar Association involved and at the table as the court made decisions. Justice David for his continued and unwavering support of the Indiana State Bar Association. I know of no bar association in the country who's had the privilege of having a Supreme Court justice appear at their annual meeting and listen to the things that our members have had to say, suggest, ask about, and then also be willing to act on them. So Justice David and Supreme Court, thank you for that opportunity. Additional special thanks to our past presidents for their generous contributions and efforts on the women's suffrage program. I'd like to also thank Tanya Bond, Ryan Lieger, Shelley Jackson in creating Indie Lawyers for Black Lives. I would like to present a special award to several additional individuals. We call them presidential citations. And they are for individuals who have made significant contributions this year. Because of social distancing requirements, we won't be presenting the awards here on stage, but please join me in thanking them the next time you see them or by sending them an email of congratulations. Those people are as follows. This list will include a number of staff members, you will notice. Kristen Owens, the Indiana State Bar Association Director of CLE, for pivoting all of our CLE to a virtual component. Also, Christine Cordial, who is the Assistant Director of CLE at the State Bar. Ashley Higgins, Indiana State Bar Association Director of Meetings and Events. Pivoted virtually all of our events, including the Solo Small Firm webinar, which was moved from June to earlier in April, and pulling off one of the first hybrid events in the country, and certainly in the bar world. Kelsey Kotnick, for keeping members informed on up-to-the-minute developments and decisions in our state. Catherine Pulley, she was our COVID task force leader and worked with partners to be sure we were involved, we being the Indiana State Bar Association, we were involved in leveraging our stakeholders, including the governor's office. Paige Feltz, working with courts and lawmakers to get necessary decisions made that impacted our members and their clients and communities. The first that I recall was the key element of having lawyers determined essential when the COVID crisis and shutdown orders began, so that we could continue our businesses and practices and help our clients and those for whom they were caring. Terry Harrell, Executive Director of Judges and Lawyers Assistance Program, and Loretta Oleski for their efforts in programming to help our members cope and be healthy during the pandemic. Terry and Loretta led at least 15 programs for our members. Mary Slade, for her tireless work to get the remote notary rules across the finish line. She worked on this issue at the State House. She worked with other stakeholders, and then she led CLE for the Indiana State Bar Association. She hosted our first sold out virtual CLE. It is still one of our most popular programs. It is viewed continuously on demand. So if you would join me, please, in a round of applause for the individuals who I gave thanks to individually, as well as those who will be receiving the presidential citation. At this point in the agenda, I am asked to give brief remarks and comments about the year. And the first notation I made was, goodness, we've been busy. 2020 brought about success for the ISBA in at least 5 categories. Relevance, ISBA has raised its profile, both with its own members and across the country. Team culture, our staff has solidified its team culture so that each member can lead from their position and guide the ISBA in their respective areas of expertise, both in person and remotely. Communication, we've improved interaction and messaging with all members virtually, and particularly new and more seasoned members by developing membership categories to ensure everyone from law student to retiree has a place to plug in. This is the first year that our law student category of members included first-year law students. And so now we have as members all students in all law schools in our state. Members are no longer required to be away from their practices, clients, or families to participate at ISBA. We are taking our programming, events, and association business to them. For the second year in a row, we have finished ahead of budget, primarily due to focused attention on membership and attention to the bottom line. Outreach. We've improved our partnerships and collaboration with stakeholders in the legal community, enabling us to create and implement essential skills, education, and programming based on the lawyer life cycle, from those in their first year of law school to those seasoned retirees and every stop in between. Now we are embarking on perhaps our greatest challenge, the magnitude of which eclipses our prior successes and efforts to steadily assist members. While that work in the strategic plan will continue as a priority, We have formed a task force to examine the role played by the law in social and systematic inequities illuminated by the murder of George Floyd in late May, and which sparked the civil unrest we are now experiencing. The task force, led in part by our president-to-be, Mike Tolbert, is to provide pathways to long-lasting improvements, mitigation, and solutions for tackling this social upheaval and promoting human rights. We have set aside time, funds, and other organizational resources to implement tactics and do, rather than merely speak, our part in affording equal justice under law. As we've been taught by the late and tremendously great Ruth Bader Ginsburg, ISBA will continue to fight for the things that we care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join us. The ISBA is strong, and we're gaining strength as we advance. We continue to empower members to thrive professionally and personally through advocacy, education, and connections. I'm confident in the future of the Indiana State Bar Association as we approach our 125th anniversary. Under Michael Tolbert's leadership in 2021, the ISBA will benefit from Michael's keen sense of business and the law, his compassion for others, and most importantly, his sincere determination to protect our practices, our clients, and our businesses. His courageous leadership style will ensure the Indiana State Bar Association remains as the leading voice of our profession. I wish to take a moment to thank my wonderful partners and associates back at Church Hill and Antrim who have completely filled in for me in my absence. I hope I have an office when I return, but if I don't, well, they're probably justified. I also wish to thank my family for the opportunity and the support to serve the State Bar Association. I thank you for the humbling privilege and career-defining honor of serving this noble organization. Let's continue the great strides of the Indiana State Bar Association as we advance forward. And now I understand there is a brief video that is going to be played. thank you to ISBA member Michael Wilson for preparing that video. That was good work. And I had forgotten about some of those things that were going on. There were a lot of tentacles happening this year. I would now have the honor of introducing Michael Tolbert of Gary, Indiana, as the new president of the association. If you would join me, Michael, here at the podium. I want to congratulate you in your ascendancy to the presidency of the Indiana State Bar Association. I wish you an exemplary year and know that we'll have great successes.
Thank you very much, Madam President.
Congratulations, Michael.
Madam, good morning, everyone. Madam Chair, before you leave, I want to thank you for the great leadership that you've displayed over this year. It's just been magnificent to work with you and to see all of your leadership skills on display, and they were tested just a little bit.
As he laughed.
But you just did a phenomenal job, and I'm just honored that I had the pleasure to work with you throughout this process. So on behalf of the Indiana State Bar Association, I would like to present this wonderful Indiana State Bar plaque that bears your name and the years of your service. And we just want to thank you for serving.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank the Assembly. First off, I want to recognize the Honorable Chief Loretta Rush for all that she's done for our Bar Association and what she continues to do for Indiana lawyers across the state. I don't know if Chief Justice David is here in the room or if he's appearing virtually, but I would like to thank him as well and acknowledge him. And we've already acknowledged all of our past presidents, but I would like to acknowledge them again. Particularly the ones that are here live. I want to thank you for showing up under these very trying circumstances. So I want to thank you. Before I go through before I provide my general comments about the vision and the plan that I see over the next year, I want to thank a few people that have really been instrumental in my life. And first and foremost, I would like to thank God for giving me this opportunity to stand before you, giving me the opportunity to lead this great association. I never would have thought in a million years that I would be standing here before you today. I showed up for one young lawyer section meeting with the suit on and everyone else had on casual clothes. And next thing you know, I was here. It all happened that fast. So Judy Calhoun, she gets that joke, right? But God has just been magnificent and wonderful in my life, and he's done so many wonderful things for me, so I want to make sure I acknowledge him. Second, I would like to thank my beautiful, wonderful wife, Shalise Tolbert, for putting up with me over 14 or so. It's been longer than 14 years. We've known each other longer than that. We've been married for 14 years, but I want to thank you for being the consummate wife, the consummate business professional, putting up with my 3 a.m. Questions about cases and about the Bar Association and all the questions that I ask you repeatedly throughout the day. You're just a wonderful wife, and I could not think of a better business partner, but a partner in life. So I want to thank you for everything that you've done for me and putting up with me. Thank you. My father, Matthew Tolbert, and my mom, they could not be here today because of the virtual platform and format, but I would like to thank them for their guidance and stewardship over the years. You know, I grew up in a pretty tough place, and I don't take it for granted in terms of having parental guidance and having a father and a mother in the home with me, giving me guidance and really showing me how to be a man and how to be a leader. And I really want to thank them, even though they cannot be here live. I want to thank my law office, Tobin and Tobert. They're watching this virtually, and I will get in big trouble if I do not say their names. They told me that. So, so I want to make sure I go through each and every one of them quickly. I want to thank Alta Chavez, Yvonne Carrillo, Sarah Emery, Christy Drang, Juliana Ishii, Jordan Manuel, our clerk, and Candace Williams, our great young lawyer and associate who is also becoming more involved in this association through the Young Lawyer section. So thank you. I would also like to thank a few organizations before I start. I want to thank the Lake County Bar Association for giving me an opportunity to lead a bar association as a young lawyer. The Lake County Bar Association is a phenomenal bar association, and I absolutely love the group, and we have so many great times, and I want to thank the Lake County Bar Association for always showing up and being such an active voice at the state bar level. I want to thank the James C. Kimbrough Bar Association. That was the very first bar association that I ever got an opportunity to lead, and I want to make sure that I thank them. I want to thank my church, Embassies of Christ, and I want to thank my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, for all the noops virtually. Throw the yo. Probably don't know what that means, but they know what that means. But I want to thank them for supporting me over these years. And would like to go at this time over some of the board appointees that will be instrumental throughout our year and that will offer us great leadership and guidance over the next year or so. Our counsel to the president is Chantre Irving. We have our treasurer, James Dillon, who's with us today. James, could you stand up, please, and be acknowledged? And we have our secretary, Renee Ortega, who I have not seen her, but I believe that she's attending virtually. All right, thank you. So where do we go from here? What is the plan and vision that I see for this great organization? I have been very fortunate and blessed to really have an opportunity over the last few years and really for a long time as I've been part of this association to really follow great leaders. We just talked about one, Leslie. We talked about Todd. I got a chance to watch both of these folks up close and personal over the last few years or so. And they have done some phenomenal things with this great association. So there's not a lot to really do in the terms of creating new, innovative concepts. So one of the things that I would like to do over the next year is to improve on what our past presidents, what Leslie and what Todd have put in place and the groundwork that all of our previous past presidents have put in place. It's the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I will plan on not trying to break anything over the next year or so. But there are some things that I see based off of my involvement with the State Bar Association that could use tweaking and that deserve attention. One of the things that I would like to focus on over the next year is a local bar initiative. When I first joined this association as a young lawyer, I did it at the bequest of another lawyer and mentor of my old firm by the name of Bill Satterley. Bill Satterley was a lawyer that was involved in all local bar associations, particularly with the State Bar Association. And one of the things that Bill told me when I first began practicing was to join the State Bar and join your local bars. And as a result of that, I got to see great lawyers at the Lake County Bar level interact with the State Bar and throw themselves head first into very substantive issues at the House of Delegates. So I thought that all bar associations, local bar associations, were like that, and that there was always a harmonious, pleasant relationship between the state bar and local bars. But I've learned over my dealings and being in leadership positions with the state bar, and most recently that is not necessarily true. All the bar associations across this great state don't view the state bar in the same way that maybe the St. Joe Bar County or the Lake County Bar Association or other bar associations view the state bar. They view the state bar a lot differently. And what I would like to do over this next year is to repair those relationships and maybe misconceptions about what the State Bar Association means and what the State Bar Association plans on doing as it relates to local bar interaction. So my plan this year is to focus on making small inroads with the local bars and also to create a friend, not a foe relationship, a comrade, not a competitor relationship, and a supporter and not an extorter relationship. Those are all things that I think are very important for the vibrance of our great association and for continued membership in the great bar association that we have. We need our local bars to support us. We need them to feel like they are a part of the big bar, and we do not need them to feel threatened by us. One of the things, or a few things, that I believe will help us in that regard is some of the things that you heard during our House of Delegates meeting. The great author Napoleon Hill says one of my favorite quotes that I live by. And one of his quotes is that with every seed of adversity, there's a greater benefit. I truly believe that. COVID has presented us with a lot of challenges and with a lot of curveballs, but with that has come the ability to touch more people remotely through virtual meetings, through virtual platforms, and we can use that to leverage and strengthen our relationships with our local bar associations. So one of the things that I would like to do over the next year is to create town halls, virtual town halls with our local bars to gather information about them, about their needs, and how the State Bar Association can be more effective into supporting them and to creating a harmonious relationship so that we both can be successful and that we both can win. Those town halls will also spotlight local bars and also spotlight folks that are doing great things in our association. I also would like to create a local bar task force made up of key people in these key bar associations so that we can gather their needs, figure out what they need, and figure out how our advocacy efforts, our resources, and everything that we do so good at the State Bar can actually help them. I would also like to have a unity conference with our local bar associations where we could get together and we can really get to know one another outside of the House of Delegates meetings or the annual meeting. The next thing that I would like to focus on over the next year is what our Madam President alluded to and talked about earlier, is our disaster relief efforts through our COVID task force. Under the great leadership of our past president, Leslie Hendersaw, she created a COVID-19 task force that did wonderful things, not only for the state of Indiana, but for practitioners across the country. It's been used as a model by the ABA, and it's really a feather in our cap, not only for this association, but for the state of Indiana. But one of the things that I think we can do is to broaden out our efforts to not only prepare for COVID, but to prepare for other things that could cause us perils in our practice. I read a news report that showed that experts predict that COVID-19 will spike and will become worse around Christmas. In December of 2020, in the new year, there could be a new strand of COVID. And for those of you who live in places like Northwest Indiana and other places that get unusual rain or floods, we are never, ever at a loss when it comes to natural disasters or tornadoes that affect our practice. So I would like for us to broaden our reach and our scope and our efforts in a disaster relief task force that does not only focus on COVID-related measures. And I believe that that task force could focus and work with other existing committees in the State Bar, like our Futures Committee, and working with Justice David in the Innovatives section of the Supreme Court to come up with innovative strategies and plans to help us prepare for the next pandemic. We have one pandemic that we're currently going through, and unfortunately, there will be others. And I believe that this Bar Association has the talent, has the mind, has the leaders that can all put plans together to prepare us for the future, and our members will benefit from that. The last point that I would like to make, and the last thing that I would like to focus on over the next year, is our past presidents. The past presidents, as Leslie is one now, and Todd is one, and he had the biggest grin on his face today because I think he's going off to pasture, right? I have a little bit of time before that smile. But these past presidents are an integral, vibrant part of our great association. And one of the things that we should focus on as an association is to find a place and a home for them once they leave this podium and once their time in service as a president is over. So one of the things that I would like to explore over the next year is the creation of a president's circle, where our presidents would get together maybe once or twice a year, and they can serve as mentors for other presidents that are coming into this organization. And they can also give feedback over what we did good over the past year or where they see the organization going, and just offer great guidance. We have such a phenomenal brain trust in our past presidents. And one of the things that we have to do is to harness that brain trust and to make sure that they do not slip out of our grasp. And with that being said, I would like to acknowledge, and you always get in trouble when you start naming names, but I'm going to try to do this because inevitably you leave somebody out. But I do want to acknowledge a few past presidents in the wake of me revealing that vision to you. And one of the past presidents that was very instrumental in my mentorship and in my leadership efforts with the Bar Association was one Bill Jonas. Bill, could you stand up, please? Dan Vinovich. I remember I was in the nominating committee when Dan Vinovich was selected to be put into the slate to become the next president. And Dan Vinovich has been just an instrumental person for the Bar Association and was an example of what a Lake County lawyer could do for this association and lead. So I want to thank Dan for his leadership. Could you stand up, Dan? And Jeff Lind is not here today. Eric Chickadance is not here today, but there's so many past presidents that worked tirelessly for this association and that reached back and tapped a guy from Gary, Indiana on the shoulder and said, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you get involved? And I will forever be indebted to them for that. I believe Jeff Lind, I was the president that appointed me as the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, and I'm sure that he could have found somebody more capable to do that job. But needless to say, he chose me. And that's what past presidents do. They put new blood into our organization, and they strategically guide us in the right direction, even when sometimes we don't know what direction that is. So with that being said, that is my vision for the upcoming year. Those are the things that I would like to get accomplished. I believe that all of these ideas, if executed correctly, I believe that this will help our association continue to be healthy, continue to be vibrant, and more importantly, as our past president has indicated, continue to allow us to be relevant, not only in the state of Indiana, but across the country. So I want to thank everyone here for listening to me babble for the last few minutes. And I want to thank you for all the hours, dedicated volunteer hours that you've given to our association over the years. So with that being said, I will turn the meeting back over to Leslie Hendershaw. And can I say one thing, Madam President? Sure. And I would be remiss if I did not mention Rod Morgan, his name. He's been a great mentor of mine. He's the first African-American president of this great association. And he showed a great example for me and made me believe that, hey, I can one day be at this podium. So I want to thank Rod, and I know he's not here today. I don't know if he's on virtually, but I wanted to make sure that I thanked him and acknowledged him. So with that being said, thank the assembly, and I will turn the meeting back over to our president, past president. Thank you very much.
Michael, I want to thank you for your inspiring comments and your forward thinking. I think we did a good job choosing Michael. Before we conclude, we have a short video message for you, Michael, and I understand that's going to play from back here in the back.
Wow.
You may want to step down so you can see this, Michael.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
So it is really hard to do a secret video when it's for your husband, who is also your partner, and you are together at the office and you're together at home, and it's COVID-19. But I got away to a little space to be able to record this video to say, congratulations, Michael. I am so very proud of you. As you become the leader of this bar association, I know you will do a fantastic job, and with your creative mind and leadership skills, the Indiana State Bar Association will have a fantastic year. Remember that you are supported by many, and that in all things you put God first. I love you.
There aren't enough superlatives to describe Michael Tolbert's ever-zealous representation of his clients and his leadership. Not to mention the art of both playing and falling for a practical joke here and there. Now, having said all of this, Michael and I certainly don't see eye to eye on everything. To illustrate, while I believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael has spent countless hours expending energy and arguing with me in an effort to convince me that Kobe Bryant instead is the greatest to play the game. So Michael, as a gift to you for becoming our state bar president, I'm going to open my mind a little bit. So I'm going to ask the question of an independent third party who's been vetted. Is Kobe Bryant a better basketball player than Michael Jordan? And here was the response that I received.
No.
And since this young man seems to know a thing or two, I also asked him if you, Michael Tolbert, would be the trailblazer that our Bar Association needs right now. And he assertively responded,
Yes.
in all seriousness, congratulations on this next step in your journey and this fantastic accomplishment. I cannot wait to serve this next year with you as you lead this great organization into the future. Best of luck, my friend.
Okay, so the year was 1996-ish, and there was this young, feisty man that was on the intramurals for undergraduate, and they were playing against our law school team. And this kid was hacking and throwing up bricks. Little did I know he would turn out to be such a great lawyer. Congratulations, Mike Tolbert. I am so proud of you. And watch those basketball hacks. See ya.
Hello. These are some of the favorite people in your life that you see most of the time. Congratulations on becoming the ISBA president. We love you. We wish you a wonderful year. Everybody say congratulations to Michael. Congratulations!
Congratulations, President Tolbert.
We think you'll exercise great judgment.
And it'll all work out very well.
Michael, congratulations. You're a great attorney and an even better person. I have no doubt you're going to make a great president for the Indiana State Bar Association. Best of luck.
Michael Tolbert, where to begin? You're a good guy. You're a great friend. You're an amazing leader. You're an amazing lawyer. Thank you, Michael, for teaching me so much about being a lawyer and serving others through our friendship and your example. And my very best wishes to you, my friend, on your new endeavor of the Indiana State Bar Association president. Thank you, my friend, and all the best.
So almost 6 years ago, I followed you as Lake County Bar Association president. And at that time, you got to speak at my installation dinner as outgoing president. And your speech had to deal with how bar associations build relationships and friendships. And I'm happy to say that 6 years later, a guy from Gary and a girl from the farmland of Lowell are still friends. I wish you the best of luck in this coming year. I'll help you in whatever way I can. And you should probably always know that Shalise will always be my favorite Tolbert.
Michael, congratulations on your installation as Indiana State Bar Association president. Wish I could be there to celebrate with you. Mike, you're an inspiration to all of us and the best kind of leader because you lead by example. You work hard for your firm and your clients, and you give so much back to our community, whether it's in Lake County or throughout the whole state, fostering our practice. Thank you for everything you've done and you've continued to do. You're an inspiration to so many of us.
I just want to say congratulations to my friend and mentor, Attorney Michael Tolbert, on becoming the president of the Indiana State Bar Association. Michael, you're a great mentor. You're a great friend. You've inspired me to do many things, and I look up to you. I'm very proud of you, and I'm sure you'll do great things even after this. Yo.
Best of luck, Michael.
That was cool.
Excellent. Nicely done.
That was cool.
Michael, we wish you the best and many successes.
Thank you.
For my final remarks, I would like to recognize the ISBA staff. This has been a year of crises and unpredictability. Now the role of lawyers is ever more essential in protecting and improving the rule of law in our communities, profession, and bar associations. Our work is made possible by our extraordinary staff and executive director. I would like to recognize each of them by name and present them with what I call a COVID Team Award. These awards are oddly shaped, and I selected them because they had tentacles, which I thought represented all of the crises that came at our staff, and which staff tackled famously this year. The coronavirus, the economic crisis, and the social unrest were just 3 of the major crises which staff tackled from each of their respective positions of leadership and expertise. I'm going to call each of their names and provide you with their position currently. And then because we can't have folks come up to the stage, I'll present the awards to them at the conclusion of the meeting. Our Director of CLE, Kristen Owens, our Assistant Director of CLE, Christine Cordial, Communications Coordinator, Jenna Parsons, Communication Manager, Kelsey Kotnick, Director of Finance and Operations, Sarah Beck, Director of Meetings and Events, Ashley Higgins, Director of Membership, Carissa Long, Director of Outreach, Partnerships, and the Leadership Development Academy, Catherine Pulley, Legislative Counsel, Paige Feltz, Membership Coordinator, Julie Gott, Office Manager, Kim Lattimore Martin, Outreach Coordinator, Shanae Gay, Receptionist, Chauncey Lipscomb, Section and Committee Liaison, Rebecca Smith, Section and Committee Manager, Leah Baker, and our Executive Director, Joe Skeel. I thank each of you for your tremendous job this year. It was your ability to adapt on the fly and your cohesive efforts that placed ISBA in a position to serve our members and serve as a guiding force for the members, the courts, other stakeholders in the legal community, and bar associations across the country. And by the way, they were so kind to provide me with scripts for so many events and interviews. And I borrowed some of the words from Joe Skeel in his evaluation of the year. But honestly, they'll cause me to do this, so I'm not going to go through those. I'll recognize each of the staff members with an award at the conclusion of the meeting. And now it's time to express appreciation for all of our sponsors today. Rittman Professional Liability Insurance. And yes, folks, the insurance is still on its way. There will be more updates in the near future. The Indiana Bar Foundation, we thank you for your sponsorship. Clio, DocsPop, and LawPay. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the assembly for the 2020 annual meeting. I thank you so much for your attention. I am honored and privileged to serve this organization, and let's just keep pressing forward fastly and furiously. Thank you.